Let me just go ahead and start the video off saying how I just love vending. I love designing merchandise and going to events to also meet other artists who also like to make merchandise. Another reason I also love to vend is creating the booths themselves. My favorite is to build intricate setups and displays for my booth. But this time I want to take it up a notch. I want my booth to have a theme. And after thinking about it long and hard, I finally came up with one. I want my booth to be themed after a konbini. And since my next event was going to be at Anime Impulse Phoenix, I knew I wanted to debut my new booth there. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I got that from concept to reality. In order to get that konbini vibe that I'm looking for, I have to go to a real one. And for that, we go to 7-Eleven. Although it's originated from America, 7-Eleven is actually very popular and successful in Japan. Recently, 7-Eleven has been revamping their way of doing convenience store based on their Japanese counterpart. So while I can't fly to Japan to get the experience, at least we have something in America that comes close to it. Right off the bat, I noticed the biggest appeal for a convenience store is the convenience of self-service. Only certain items are kept behind the counter to serve the customer, but anything that's outside of that has a container that you can dispense in is free game. So obviously, it's one thing to just look inside of a convenience store, it's another to actually experience the convenience store. And for that, I decided to get myself some hot cocoa. And yes, it is the middle of summer. I understand this is the last choice anybody would have made, but I absolutely love hot cocoa. And I made sure to get this cup so I can study their branding, and not because of hot cocoa. For the bakery feel, I actually ended up going to H Mart. And H Mart has Paris Baguette. This chain is actually originated from South Korea and it's very popular. And much like 7-Eleven, I came here to get the experience of getting a baked good. They had certain items that would be kept behind counter that would be requested by the customer, but the rest of the bakery was self-serve. This bakery also had another feature. It also had crane games. Now, I wasn't planning to have a crane machine on my booth. However, I did have a gachapon machine. This was used as inspiration. And of course, I did also pick up samples from the bakery so I can study them. All this research got me so inspired that I wanted to make my own konbini, but in the smallest scale possible. And so I purchased several kits and mashed them together and have customized several parts to make a miniature 7-Eleven. I had literally vectorized so many of their graphics. I had used custom adhesive paper. I had done measurements and math just to get the right scale. I had looked up several images of real-life advertisements inside konbinis. I also made my own custom vectors of real-life products to put inside my mini konbini. And there is so much more to go into this. But the whole point of this video is about my artist alley table. So let's get back to that. After all that research, we're finally able to plan it out. The first thing I did was make a digital mock-up of my table. And this table measured about 6 feet. And then I drew all the panels that I own and all the sizes that it comes in to scale. I would then use those to make an arrangement of the table setup to where I would like it. And then I would import photos of items that I would like to utilize into my actual display and shrink them to scale. There were certain things that I wanted to ensure I had in my setup to really tie in the konbini theme. I knew for a fact that I wanted horizontal stripes at the top to really signify that you're coming into a convenience store. I also wanted to make sure I had a fun little cash register that you normally see at the counter. And I knew I needed a container that looked like a bakery display case. For the self-service, I decided to use a salad bar as the theme. And then of course, I threw a gachapon into my display. Other things to tie it all together I used was Nobiri flags, advertisement, and a panel that I decorated to look like sliding doors. I also threw a shopping basket in there as a cherry on top. Doing a digital mock-up of this sort of thing is very useful. It allows me to plan any purchases I possibly will need to make and also lessens the hassle of any returns that I have to do. It also allows you to sit on that design for a good while and you can come back and change a lot of things that are not physical just yet. Now there is something in this digital mock-up that I wasn't able to create in reality, which was the sign that's above my booth. I actually have it about 20% done. I just didn't have it done for this specific event, but the next time I booth, it will be up. So after all that planning, it is time to build a table. The first thing was to modify a toy cash register into a functioning cash register. I wanted to modify the screen so that it can light up and have my information on it, and then turn a pin pad into a square terminal. I thought it would be way more fun to add to the konbini vibe if the square reader was an actual pin pad. And the functionality is really similar to one. You can actually insert the card underneath to read the chip, or tap on top in order to complete the transaction. Then we have to build a bakery box and the things that will go inside of it. So I knew I wanted a bakery box, and it needed to serve a purpose. And I also needed to sell discounted goods. So the way I chose to do it was through bento boxes. Bento boxes are iconic when it comes to konbinis in Japan. They're accessible, and they're easy for a lot of people to just pick up and go. So I wanted to ensure I could represent that by using some sort of decor, such as eggs, broccoli, tomato, and sushi. I felt like these items were very common inside bento boxes, and I personally find them delicious. I also wanted to make sure I added extra goodies into those mystery boxes, so these became stickers as well. Once those stickers have been created, it was time to finally build the bento box. First, I grab a container and fill it up with goodies, and I make sure those goodies were all within the same theme. Then I went ahead and cover it and then added decorations like little grass that you usually find in a bento box to divide the food out. And this is where the stickers that I made earlier come into play. I would peel the backing just slightly so that enough of the stickiness is out, and then press it against what's covering the goodies, and then prop it up slightly so that you can see it. I then pop on the lid to seal it up and also secure all the goodies inside. And once that's sealed, I go ahead and grab a sticker that has the label on it and then directly apply it on top and then have it wrap all the way to the bottom so that it keeps it together. Then I ensure that I have the discount sticker on top, which is the true price tag for the bento box. Once the whole thing has been assembled, it truly looks like an actual discount bento meal. And then I just rinse and repeat that process to multiple of those bento boxes. The amount varied based on how many leftover stock I had and also how many I can evenly spread. It's pretty extra to do, but I feel like the presentation on my booth really ties it together. And because it's so customizable, I can make every bento box unique if I wanted to, just like how actual konbinis have it. Now I'm able to assemble my table to see how it looks so far. After assembling it, I went ahead and took a picture of my table. I imported the image into an art program digitally so I can begin doing more digital mock-ups on top of it, and also rearrange anything in my table that I felt needed to be arranged. I find it easy to just digitally edit my table as I go along because this allows me to be a little bit more flexible and work a little bit quicker on rearranging certain things than it would physically. I also took advantage of trying to apply some graphics on top of it for signages or any other sort of advertising that I need on my table to just tie the whole thing together and make a nice little presentation. After all of that, it's time for the final setup. So real quick, I didn't film myself this time around building the entire thing. There was actually a lot of people surrounding me, so I felt kind of shy. So I just took snippets in between. Luckily, when it came to building the base, it didn't take too long. The only thing that would take time is more of the gimmicky displays, which didn't take that long either. Alright, once the base was completely built, I just stored everything that would be displayed on the table underneath and locked them up with zip ties. You could pick up a lock system for this, but I didn't feel like it was necessary for this event. Once it was the next day, I was finally able to reveal my table. There was a lot of trial and error when it came to putting this booth together, but I'm very happy with the results in the end. My goal was to make sure my booth was functional, but also practical, and I feel like I did achieve it in this setup. Now let me go ahead and present you the gimmicks at my table. For the gachapon machine, I have tokens inside the register. I put the token into a flap that then dispenses onto a coin dish. The customer then can pick up the tokens at the coin dish and then use it at the machine. Once the customer has inserted the token, they can go ahead and twist the knob. A capsule should dispense, customer can pick it up, take the prize out, and return the capsule to me. I also had a self-service section, which was the salad bar. It had buttons that customers can pick and choose, mix and match into a parfait cup. After purchase, customer would get a lid and they're able to seal it up. And then we had my favorite part of the booth, which was the mystery bento boxes. Customers are able to pick out the tier of bento box that they would like, and then I serve them like a bakery shop. And those are the main highlights of my table. It was quite a journey to get it to its final form, but I'm very happy how it turned out. In the future, I do plan to add more to this sort of setup and expand on the konbini theme, and I'll make sure to document all those changes along the way. If you stuck around for the whole video, thank you so much, it means the world to me. And if you want to see similar content, go ahead and check out my other videos. Until then, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you around.